Today I'm getting ready for a market that I've got going on at the weekend. It's Thursday today. The market's not until Sunday, but I'm staffing at the Winter Gardens Sheffield Makers Shop on tomorrow. And I don't just want to leave one day to get everything ready. The reason is this market is the furthest market away from home that I've ever done. And I know for a fact, because they've told me, that the parking is a little bit of a walk away from where we'll be setting up. Not too far, but far enough that if it's raining, it's going to be a big pain in the bum. So I'm going to really try and get the majority of the stock that is permeable to rain put in a big plastic box. So I've got a big plastic, what are they called? The really useful boxes, that's the brand. We normally keep duvets in it, but the duvets are on the bed. So I'm going to be using that to try and put all of my stock in. I want to make sure that I put everything in there that I will need for the market. So yeah, you're going to join me. It's going to be another how to do a market stall vlog. So first things first, I need to get some stock out. I need to also work out whether I'm going to do some kind of market offer. So I've got a load of art prints at the moment that I haven't been selling. Should I do them half price? Anyway, first I need to get all the stock into my box. I'm going to make a list as I go about what stock I've taken, so I can do a little tally when I get back to make sure that nothing's gone missing, nothing's blown away or been stolen. Yeah, so that's first on the list. So this is how it looks at the moment. These are just yellow bags, paper bags. In these things is my art. I've also put in some things that might get wet if it's raining, so like my price labels, my little receipt books. I've also got calendars in there, Our Dave books, stickers, pin badges. Yeah, and at the moment, let me show you what I'm doing. At the moment I've got these paper bags, and I figured I might as well add some stickers to them. So when people are walking around at the market, people will hopefully be able to see my logo. They might say, oh, they've bought something from Embers and Ink. I'm going to go and have a look and see what they've got. So a really important thing that you've got to consider is your money. So I keep all of my float, my money, in here. You want to basically make sure you've got enough to give people change, and you want to be able to give people the right change. So for instance, all of my stock either is rounded up to the pound, so it's like £3, £10, £20, or it ends in 50p or 1p. Most things out of that little group ends in 50p. And there's like one thing, which is my book, which ends in 99. So there's only a small amount of things that I'd need to give a penny change for, and there's a slightly bigger group of things that I'd need to give 50p change for. Everything else I'll be able to give notes and £1 coins for. So I've got a bit of money in here. I'm not quite sure. I used to have £120 of float, and 60 of it was notes, so it was all £5 notes. And the rest of it was £1 coins. But now I've got like about £20 worth of 50p's, and I've got a bag of £1 of 1p, which I very rarely get through. But it's just to make sure that you've got enough change to give people. I've also got a card reader, so I use this one. It's not an advert, but it's the iZettle. There are other ones available, I think Square, do one, and I think you might be able to get some linked with business banking at the moment. I don't know. I've got this one. I bought this ages ago, and the way this works, you buy the handset. So the handset, when I bought it, I think it was like £29, and then it's yours. It's linked to your business, and then you don't pay a subscription or anything like that. What you do is pay a small fee. It's like a nominal fee. It's the kind of equal to the kind of fee that you get when you sell things online anyway. So credit card transactions, and they take a small fee per card transaction. It's really worth it. I really do think getting a card reader for a market is really worth it. How it works is you have an app on your phone, and it uploads through mobile data. So you've got to make sure you have either Wi-Fi or mobile data on your account still. I have been caught out by that before, where my mobile data ran out, so I had to buy more. But it's all fun and games. Having a card reader is really, it's the no excuses for not buying this shit thing. You know what I mean? Like when people say, oh, I would buy it, but I've got no change. You can say, well, I do have a card reader as well if you do want it. Obviously, you don't want to pressure people into buying things, because that's not good luck, guys. But, you know, it's for when people do come out without their wallet and they think, or without their change, going to the bank or whatever, and they think, oh, you know, I could have got that. That would have been really perfect for Bob. I don't know. So yeah, card reader and change. So we're setting off for the RSPB market. It's 7:53 in the morning. A little bit behind schedule, but we'll be fine. There's no cars on the road. Stupidly, I forgot to get the directions, so we're winging it with the sat nav. So normally I like to kind of have a little look on a map, so I've got a vague idea of where to go. But we're on our way. The sun's shining. It's not very windy. All of our stock's in the back, hopefully. And yeah, I'll update you through the day. Finally set up. It's 10:20, so I went a bit over, but I was just fiddling with bits. So I've got some of my stickers there, colouring books and bird things, because we're on an RSPB reserve, and yeah, set up ready for the day. It's a nice sunny day, so it should be a lovely market. So I've put my mask on because I heard a kid sneezing, but makes everyone safe. I'll probably take it off later because it is quite warm. Update: I've sold 4 cards for £10 and it's kind of quiet at the moment, but there's a lot of people around, so what I'm thinking people are doing is maybe having a look around the reserve, and then they'll shop later. But either way, it's a nice sunny day. Can you see? I'm just bent down so people don't know I'm talking to myself in the camera. Okay, gotta go, people. So this is the reality of behind the stall. Mess! But no one can see because my tablecloths cover it. Yeah, I really need to learn to get a bit more organised behind here, but I'm always organised when it's all been packed away. That's all right. It's just once it's all out, I need somewhere else to put all the bits. But we're getting there. Anyway, weather continues to be good. Beautiful day. Trade's alright, but it's just nice to be out of the house, isn't it? So these are the little sticker display things that we made together, and they look pretty nice. So one thing to bear in mind when you're packing up from a market is to keep your money on you, because setting up and packing away your marketplaces is the time when people will most likely not have their eyes on their money, and you know, it's when the thieves strike. So I've still got my money belt on, and yeah, nice and safe. So we finished the market now, we're on our way home in the van, and it was an okay market actually, considering it wasn't a Christmas market, because obviously you make a bit more at Christmas because people are buying specifically for gift giving and buying gifts and cards, but considering it wasn't a Christmas market, I think it was actually alright. Sorry, I hope you can hear me over the sound of the engine. But yeah, it was alright. It was a lovely event. It was like an Easter event, and there was like an Easter egg hunt and stuff like that, and people could have access to the reserve, and the day was wonderful, the weather was lovely, but yeah, glad to be going home. So it's like an hour and 10 minutes after the market's finished, so that's another thing to bear in mind, guys. If you're going to be doing your own market, especially if you've got your own gazebo like we do, factor in time for setting up and packing down, because it normally takes me about an hour at least to set up and an hour at least to pack away, and that's with me being organised and on it and starting to kind of like filter some of the things that I've got on display down like the last half hour. But that's enough talking from me. I'm going to enjoy my little journey home. By the way, I'm not driving, I'm a passenger. Gonna enjoy my journey home while Andy drives, and then not think about the fact I've got to take all of this van load of stuff back upstairs once we get home. So it's the day after the market. Normally I'd spend this day putting all of my stock back in the stock boxes, but because I've got another market, not this weekend but next weekend, I want to keep it all in there. It's all dry, it's all clean, it's going to be fine. So instead of putting everything away, what I'm going to do is give you my top tips for when you run your own market stall. So number one is think about your pricing. So I have found it beneficial to have a range of prices in my shop. So instead of just having lots of very expensive items or lots of very cheap items, have a range. So have cheap items, mid-range items, and top range items. So for me, I sell cards at £3. Then I have mid-range items, which are my mugs and my notebooks and things like that, which are a little bit more expensive, around £11, £7, £11-ish. And then my top level is my art, which I sell for around £20. This is good because it means that people who have a bit of money can buy something a bit more special. Fantastic, they get a bit of art for their wall. But if you don't have the money, you don't want to be excluded from something. So I make smaller priced items which are just as cool, just as funky, and it gives someone Give someone a way that they can support you without breaking the bank. And my next tip is to make sure you have the right amount of change in your float. And it's not just having the right quantity of change, it's having the right coins. So I have products that end either as a full round pound, as a 50p, or as a 99 pence. So for in my change, I need 1 pennies, I need 50p's, and I need rounds. So I need £1, I need £5 notes. There's no point having anything higher because people will more likely pay with high numbers. So you want to have a lot of low currency that you can give back to someone. But yeah, so make sure you have the right change in relation to the prices that you've got. My next tip is related to money, and it is, don't be ashamed to ask for smaller change. If you don't have the right change in your float, if you don't have enough, or if someone is a bit cheeky and they're trying to pay with a £50 note and it will clear your float out if you give them all the change, just say, I'm sorry, I don't have that much change. Practice that. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have that much change. Do you have anything smaller? And it's amazing how many people do actually have the right change. They might have just not thought about it, or they might just be trying to get a little bit of change for something that they're doing later on. But yeah, always feel confident in asking for, smaller change if they have it. And the next tip is invest in a card reader. So I mentioned it earlier on again, but I've got an iZettle. I'm not sponsored. There are other brands out there. Basically, the way I do it, and I think it's the way that the other card reader companies do it now, is you invest in the card reader. Mine was, I think, £29, I think, and then it's yours. And then every payment after that comes from a slight fee from every card transaction, and it's nominal. It's like a small amount of money, the kind of fee that you'd get from an online sale anyway for a card transaction. So it's really good to catch those people who don't have any change, or they've came out without their change, who haven't gone to the bank. You'll sometimes get people who go, oh, I would have had that, but I don't have any change in my pocket. And you can go, oh, well, I do have a card machine. You don't want to be pushy, but if you've got the option, say, oh, well, I do have a card machine, if that makes it easier for you. And a lot of times I would have lost out on a sale if I didn't have a card machine. So it is something that's worth considering if you're going to be doing physical markets. Next, I think you really need to think about how you're going to set up your market table. I've seen quite a few market stall sellers who lay everything flat on their table, which is fine. If you're standing in front of the table, you can see everything out there. It's fantastic. But consider you're trying to attract people from further away, and if everything's laying down flat on your table, the people further away can't see what you're selling, and they may not be bothered enough to come over and have a look. So my tip is to get some 3D elements. So either use boxes, you can buy professional stands. I've recently invested in a card spinner, which is really good. It gets a lot of cards on there for not a lot of table space, and it gets it elevated, it gets it in people's eyesight. But you can just use like the stock boxes that you bring things in. So I've got some, you've seen them at the market, the wooden boxes. I painted them pink to match my colour scheme, and I transport stock in them and other display items in them. So they're practical, but I can also use them as shelving on my display tables. So I stack them up on top of each other, and then I can stand my stock up inside them. But just have a little think about the ways that you can get your products elevated so it catches the eye of people who are walking past, because then they're more likely to come over and have a look at what you've got. Something that I think is really worth your time is getting some kind of money belt or some way to secure your money on you. So I use this thing. I used to use it when I was a teaching assistant, and I used to use it with all of my phonics cards in there, but now I use it for my money, and it's great because I can put it around my waist. My cash is never left unattended because I'm always with it, and it really does help reduce the amount of opportunities that people would have to stick their hand into your money bag and take it, I also mentioned it earlier in the video. When you're doing markets, you really need to account for your time in a realistic way. So when a market says it starts at 10 o'clock, you can come between 8:30 and 9:30, but the market starts at 10 o'clock. You've got to think, how long is it going to take for me to set up? So even with my best, speediest attempts at setting up, I tend to take about an hour to set everything up. That includes putting up my gazebo, bringing all of the stock from the van, setting it all up, putting the tablecloths on, making sure one of every item is out, putting all the price labels on. No matter how speedy I try to be, it's always about an hour for me. And it's the same when I'm packing away. So I make sure I arrive as early as I'm able to set up my stand, so it's not a rush, so it's not a trial. And also at the end of the day, you know, be realistic about things you're going to be doing after the market. You know, don't book yourself a dentist appointment for half an hour after the market finishes, unless somebody else is packing everything away for you. Because again, it takes me at least an hour, usually more, to pack everything away. My next tip is about your comfort through the markets. It's a long time if you don't have somewhere to sit. Markets can be 5-6 hours long. So my recommendation would be to take a camp chair. They can be a folding camp chair. I mean, you don't need to take up a lot of space with them. Just somewhere that you can rest your weary bones, you know, take the weight off your feet during the quiet times, because it's not always going to be busy. But also, it's not just all about sitting down, it's about treats. Treat yourself. So take a flask, get prepared the night before, get everything lined up that you're going to need. Take a flask, bring a sandwich, bring a cake. It is lovely when you're at markets buying from other makers, and there are always cake stands, there are always coffee stands, there are always food stands, and it's nice. I do like supporting other makers at markets, but I always have my own stuff as a standby, because let's face it, you've spent all day making this money. It might be a hard hustle. Some markets are really easy. People might be throwing their money at you at some markets. Some markets are a trial. And you don't want to be spending all of your earnings, your hard-won earnings, on cake and coffee from someone else's stand, making them rich. It doesn't mean that a coffee and cake from a stand isn't nice. I mean, a cheeky coffee and cake from a stand is always nice, but give yourself the option. And my last tip I'm going to leave you with is get some business cards printed. So have your logo on there, put your web address on there, everywhere people can find you. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, whatever all the kids are using these days. Put it all on there, because the amount of sales that I've made after a market's finished because someone's picked up my business card, and they could find me on Instagram, they could find my website, they could find me on Etsy, whatever it is. So there you are, there are my tips for running your own market stall. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I've probably got some of the tips in my brain that I haven't remembered, and I'll probably remember as soon as I'm editing this video. But if there's something that I haven't covered and you want an answer, pop your questions down in the comments, and I will see them and I will answer them. So yeah, get on with that. But I'm going to go and edit this video now so that you've got a chance to watch it. So until next time, bye bye.